cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death for the people in the world. According to the National Safety Council, over 7 million people die every year because of it. What are the signs of a heart attack? Well, most of the time there's a discomfort in the chest area, is also pain in the chest, but it's not always in this area. A heart attack can just cause pain in the neck or in the shoulders, in the arm, can cause discomfort and indigestion. It also can cause sweating and short breath and dizziness and lightheadedness. If somebody is having a heart attack and we are aware, we need to call 911 first, and then there's a couple of steps we can help. If the person is still conscious, we should help them relax on a chair or on a seat. Very comfortable. Is important to have them relaxed. It is not a good idea to take them directly to the hospital. I would rather call 911 and have the emergency machine, the EMTs come, and they're going to take the person there. I do not have the power nor the will to drive and speed to make sure they arrive to the hospital as soon as possible, and I definitely do not recommend it. So I would rather have the person sitting comfortable after I had called 911 or directed somebody to call 911. Then there is the possibility to give them some aspirin. Aspirin seems to be very helpful for a lot of people. The aspirin has the properties to make the platelets in the blood unsticky. So instead of sticking and blocking the heart, taking an aspirin can help with the reduction of the stickiness. So they're going to be slippery. They're not going to be sticking. That's why if the person is conscious, only if she's or he is conscious, I'm going to ask them, would you like an aspirin? Or are you allergic to aspirin? And if they are allergic, obviously I'm not going to give it to them. I will ask them, would you like an aspirin? And if they say yes, I will give them at least one big tablet of aspirin. They need to chew it, not to swallow. It is important to remember, just by chewing it, you help the aspirin be absorbed faster in the bloodstream. If they can chew it and hold it under their tongue as long as possible. If it were to swallow the aspirin with water, then by the time it goes in the stomach and it starts to digest and being absorbed, and then it's going to go into the small intestine and then in the bloodstream, it could be really too late. Now, if the person is allergic to aspirin or they have the nitroglycerin, the nitro tablets, I would ask them, do you have heart medication? And if they do, I would rather help them take that particular medication. So that's pretty much what I can help. It's important to remember that the signs of a heart attack can manifest very differently to different people. It's not a standard procedure which says this is clear a heart attack, other than that it cannot be a heart attack. It's not the case. Some people feel pain in the jaw, so it could be just some pain, and they might be having a heart attack. So it's very important to pay a lot of attention. And if you suspect that it might be a heart attack, I would recommend to be extra cautious and rather call 911 and explain it to the personnel, to the qualified personnel there, and they're going to decide what can be the case. Some other people just feel that they have an indigestion. They feel a discomfort, like probably too much coffee or something is not good, or they just feel there's some pain and it still could be a heart attack. Men usually feel it or feel discomfort in this area, but it does not mean that it's just specific to men. So I just want to make sure everybody understands a heart attack can manifest differently, not always in the heart region. Now, as long as the person is conscious, they should be relaxing on a chair or stay very comfortable, and we should try to help them calm down. When the person, or if the person becomes unconscious, that's when we actually need to do compressions and give breath. The compressions are also called CPR. It's Cardio-Pulmonary Resuscitation. Cardio-Pulmonary Resuscitation. We need to put and force the heart to squeeze the blood, so we need to compress very, very deep and fast. The purpose is to force the heart to keep pushing the blood so that the blood goes into the body and gives oxygen to the vital organs. We need to extend the life as much as possible. If a person is unconscious, they are dying, so we need to help them stay alive as much as possible, hopefully until the paramedics arrive and they're going to take over and they're going to hopefully be able to help the person. Does CPR always work? Well, unfortunately, no. But just by doing the compressions, you give them an extra chance to be alive. And I personally believe that is the best thing I can do to help somebody. Now, how are we supposed to do the compressions? First, I'm going to put a palm of my hand on their bone, on the sternum, in the middle of the chest. So either palm, does not matter which one, whichever you feel more comfortable. I'm going to put one palm on the bone in the middle of the chest. I will put the other palm on top of it. I will interlace and I'm going to keep the fingers up and I will start doing the compressions. We're not supposed to bend the arm. We're supposed to do the compression using the back muscles. The compressions need to be deep. They need to be at least 2 inches. But that's not the only thing we need to take in consideration. We actually, when we decide how deep we need to do the compression, we need to take the height of the chest. So if the person has this big chest, then we need to do at least 1/3, to compress at least 1/3. So in my case, it would be even more than 2, or it would be probably 3 or a little bit more than 3 inches. It is important to remember, we need to squeeze the heart as much as possible. If we don't squeeze it enough, it will probably be like a massage. The massage is nice, I personally like it. Massage does not save lives. It is important to squeeze the heart as much as until it will empty itself, to force the blood to go, and then the heart, we need to let the heart relax and come back to the normal size, and it's going to draw more blood and then squeeze it again, and it's going to push more blood and then allow it to draw more blood and then squeeze it again, and it's going to keep doing, and that's the full purpose, to force the blood to circulate the blood, to force the heart to circulate the blood. While we are doing that, we are also forcing the lungs to have a kind of shallow breath. That's why it's called cardio-pulmonary. We force the heart and we force also the lung to work. Resuscitation, we want to bring them back to life, or at least we want to prolong the time that they are alive until the paramedics arrive, so that they can take over and they can help the person. When I will give breath, I'm supposed to do 30 compressions. They are supposed to be at least 2 inches. Remember, in my case, it's going to probably be 3 inches. If somebody is really heavy, they're going to be even more. So we need to compress deep. Don't worry about it. We need to compress. If it's not compressed enough, if the heart cannot push the blood because it's not forced to push the blood, the person is dying. So just think that by pushing very, very hard, it will be a workout. You can help them. If you don't push hard enough, if you're worried about anything else, they might be dying. A lot of people are worried, well, if I push hard enough, won't I break the bones? Well, there is also that possibility, but most of the time it's not going to happen. What I believe is one of the most important things is, if I push hard enough and they're alive, even if the bones do break, if the person is alive, they're going to be able to heal. But if the person is dead and the bones are intact, it's not going to help them too much. So my purpose in saving lives is to help them get alive. So I will compress, remember, at least 2 inches. We need to do 30 compressions, then we're going to give 2 breaths, then 30 compressions, then 2 breaths, then 30 compressions. So it's going to be a cycle of compressions and 2 breaths. Now, when we do that, it's important to remember it's going to be extremely hard. It's going to be extremely tiring. If I can have somebody else to help me, we will decide that probably I'm going to start doing the set of 30 compressions and the other person is going to give the breath for 5 cycles. After 5 cycles, we're going to switch. Whoever was giving the breath will do the compressions, and whoever was giving the compressions will take care of the breath. And after 5 cycles, we're going to switch again. So 30 compressions to breath, 30 compressions to breath, 30 compressions to breath, 30 compressions to breath, 30 compressions to breath. When we can switch, and then it's going to still be going 30 compressions to breath and so forth. When do we stop? Well, there's 5 situations. They don't need to be in this order. Obviously, I can stop when the person comes back to life. Then it's fine. I'm glad I can stop. I'll be watching them, making sure that they are feeling better. I'm still waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Or when I am too tired, especially if I'm alone, and I do the compression, it's gonna be very, very big workout. So after a while, I will be tired. Sometimes we need to do the compressions for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes until the paramedics arrives. We don't know how fast they can arrive. Hopefully fast enough, but you never know. So when I'm too tired, I'll stop until I can relax a little bit. Remember, the person might be dying. So then I will keep continuing. This next situation when I can stop is obviously when the paramedics arrive. When they arrive, I can stop. They're going to take over. They're going to keep doing whatever they believe it's necessary for the person to come back to life. The fourth situation when I can stop is when I have an automated external defibrillator. When a defibrillator is available, we should have the defibrillator brought. The defibrillator must be attached to the person, and when the defibrillator is analyzing, I must stop. Nobody is supposed to touch the person while the defibrillator is analyzing. Also, if the defibrillator decides that there is electric shock necessary, then when electric shock is going to be given, I'm going to stop. Nobody is supposed to touch the person. The fifth situation is I can stop, and I will stop if the surrounding becomes very dangerous. All of a sudden, the house starts burning and looks like everything is going to be burning and the person is trapped under something heavy. I cannot drag them out. In that case, I'm sorry, I'm gone. It's not helping anybody if I stay there and die together with them. So that would be the fifth situation in which I stop. Now, let's go back to helping the person. If somebody is unconscious, obviously, I'm going to call 911 or have somebody call 911. Let's pretend I go in a room and I see an unconscious person. Remember, I need to do something like this. Are you okay? Are you okay? I want to shout. I want to have them awake. Maybe they're sleeping, maybe something happened, but they could come back to life. So I want to wake them up somehow. If there is no answer, I'm going to say call 911 and bring the AED. Then I will raise the chin. Just by raising the chin, I open the airways and they should be able to breathe. And I will listen no more than 10 seconds, but at least 5 to see, are they breathing now? Is it better? So 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. There's no answer. I'm going to put my palm in the middle on the bone and I'm going to interlace the fingers. I'm going to start doing the compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Then raise the chin, pinch the nose, give 2 breaths, and I'll be watching with a corner of my eye to see that the chest is rising. Then back to compressions. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Pinch the nose. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and so forth. It's going to be a workout. I'm already tired, so expect it to be a workout, but remember, it is important. Compress at least 2 inches, and the speed must be at least 100 times per minute. Let's talk about the AED, Automated External Defibrillator. The Automated External Defibrillator is a special device which is capable to analyze the heart of the person who is unconscious, and based on the results it's capable to make decisions. If an automated external defibrillator is available, it is always a good idea to bring one and use one. Once I turn it on, the device will actually talk to me. It will lead me on what to do next. This machine I'm using here, it's not a real automated external defibrillator, it's just it's a trainer device. When I turn it on, the machine will tell you that this is just a training device, therefore no electric shock will be delivered. But let's talk a little bit about a real one. Let's pretend that this is a real one. Most automated external defibrillators come with 2 buttons, one to turn it on. When a defibrillator is brought, the first thing I need to do is turn it on. After that, the machine will tell me what to do. Now, it's important to mention that for every minute an automated external defibrillator is not used, the chances of the person to recover are diminished by 10%. Every minute we delay, their chances to come back to life are diminished. It is vital to bring an automated external defibrillator if anyone is available. Now, I believe all the airports have one, all the airplanes have one, most schools have one, all the police stations have one, most obviously all the hospitals have one, and little by little I believe that an AED should be implemented and will be implemented in all the companies, in all the churches, in all the places where people gather, because using one in an emergency is extremely important. But is it safe? I believe it is extremely safe. Extremely safe. Most people fear that once you turn it on, if I push the shock button, then the person is going to get shocked. Well, it's not actually true. The automated external defibrillator has a battery inside. But like every battery, if I would press the give shock button, nothing would happen, really nothing. If I were to touch the battery, it would be something probably mild. Whenever you touch any type of battery, it's not a big electric shock. This is actually connected to a capacitor. Now, a capacitor is totally different. It's like the old TVs. If you remember the old TVs, they always said, do not open it, and if you ever open it, do not touch the back of the TV because it can kill you. Now, that is because those have a capacitor. The capacitor collects the energy, the electricity, and if somebody touches it, it can be very dangerous. Now, the capacitor, which is contained here, is not charged, and it will not be charged unless the machine decides that electric shock is needed for the person in order to be saved. The machine is external. Obviously, it's on the outside, and it comes with a set of pads or electrodes. The pads are supposed to be connected or put directly on the skin. So when the person is unconscious, I'm going to call 911 or have somebody call 911, and I'll tell them bring the defibrillator. When they bring it, I will take the clothes off of the person and I'll wipe dry the skin, and I will put the pads directly on the skin. One of the pads is supposed to go in this area under the heart on the left side. The other one is supposed to go in this area on the shoulder, on the right shoulder. Most of the time you can see the diagram on each pad. Now, if you're very familiar with the pads and you know exactly where to put it, it's okay to just look at it and just put it right away after we wipe the skin dry. Most AEDs come with 2 sets of pads, or at least they have an adult size, and they also can have a child size. The child size is obviously smaller and is designed to be used for children or infants if they are unconscious. The 2010 guidelines, the newer guidelines, specify that an AED should be used not only on a child but also on infants. That's why on the pads, the diagram show that for a child you should also be able to put a pad under the heart on the left side and on the right shoulder, or if it's a very tiny baby, then you can put one pad up front and another pad in the back. So one is going to be up front, one in the back. The same thing is shown on the diagram. They do recommend not to use the pediatric pads on an adult. The pediatric pads are supposed to be used on children. Most AEDs recognize when a child pad is connected to them, and they will give the charge accordingly. What is a defibrillator? Well, it's the heart sometimes can fibrillate. The defibrillator has the purpose to stop the fibrillation. So how does it work? Well, if necessary, it will give an electric shock, or more exactly, it's going to prepare an electric shock. And when I push the button, then it will deliver an electric shock. That moment the heart stops, and after that the heart should reset. So most of the time, let's pretend the heart works something like this when it pumps normally. In some cases, the valves of the heart, the chambers of the heart, might not empty fully because the valves might not close, or there's different other problems and the heart has a murmur, you cannot feel a pulse and does not really work properly. This is called fibrillation or ventricular fibrillation. The defibrillator has the purpose to stop the heart by giving an electric shock, and then the heart should reset itself and go back to pumping normally the blood. Sometimes one shock is enough, sometimes it's not enough. The machine is designed to analyze every 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, it's going to analyze and decide if electric shock is necessary. Then 2 minutes later, it's going to analyze again and decide if electric shock is necessary or not. And then 2 minutes after that, it's going to come back and analyze, and so forth. Remember, we said one of the moments when we need to stop the CPR is when the AED is analyzing. It is important. When it analyzes, we do not touch the person. It's important for the machine to make decision based on the person if electric shock is necessary or not. If the heart has no electricity at all, probably electric shock will not be helping, but we still need to use the machine. So let's see now how, by the way, are there internal defibrillators? The answer is yes. Some people have heart problems and they have a pacemaker implanted or put inside on top of their heart. So if somebody has a pacemaker, are we supposed to still use an external defibrillator? The answer is yes. We just need to make sure we don't place the pads on top of the pacemaker, but in the regular place, in the regular position. The AED, the external defibrillator, will sense if the pacemaker is working properly, and it's just going to say simply no shock is advised, if no electric shock is advised. If it still says shock is advised, that means the pacemaker might not be working properly or there are some additional problems there. Okay, so let's just pretend that I go in a room and I see an unconscious person. It is important to remember that the pads need to be directly on the skin. What happens if somebody is really hairy? Well, if the person is hairy, we should somehow be able either to shave very quickly. Most defibrillators come with a razor blade, something very basic. So we should be able to just scrap it and clean it a little bit and then make sure the pads stick. Some other companies recommend, if you have an extra set of pads, apply it and pull it out to take off the hair, then clean it and apply the other set of pads and connect it and just follow the instructions. So let's just pretend I go in a room and I see an unconscious person. Are you okay? Are you okay? No answer. Call 911 and bring the AED. Then I raise the chin, I listen, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. There is no breathing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and so forth. And now, somebody brought the defibrillator. What do I do first? Turn it on.
This is a training device only. No shock will be delivered.
I'm taking the clothes.
Remove clothing from person's chest.
Wiping the skin dry.
Attach pads firmly to person's chest as shown.
I'm attaching the pads.
Plug in connector. Check connector on pads.
I'm
Check
connecting.
connector on pads. Analyzing rhythm.
Analyzing.
Everyone stand clear.
Everyone stand clear.
Shock advised.
Shock advised. Everyone stand
Everyone
clear.
stand clear.
As you can see, the machine shows
Shock button.
where to push the shock button.
Shock delivered. Begin 5
1,
cycles of
2,
CPR.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Pinch the nose, give to breath. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
30 seconds of CPR remain.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9,
1
30.
minute of CPR remain.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Analyzing. Everyone stand clear.
No shock advised. Begin 5 cycles of CPR.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so forth. Now, as I told you, the machine will analyze every 2 minutes. Then 2 minutes later is going to come back and analyze and decide if electric shock is necessary or not. Maybe yes, maybe not. I just need to follow the instructions from the machine. It's that simple. It tells me what to do. It tells me when to do CPR. It keeps track of the time. What I'm supposed to do is just make sure I perform correctly the compressions and give breath. Now, this is just a trainer, as I said. It did turn off by itself. It's just designed to go for 2 minutes to show you what would be in real life. In real life, as I said, we need to do the compressions and give breath until the paramedics arrive or until the person comes back to life. I hope this was very helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me or contact any company who can teach you based on the 2010 guidelines. Thank you. When an infant is unconscious, it's extremely important to call 911 right away. Then there are a couple of steps that we can do to help. First, we need to check that the victim is breathing or it's not. So I'm going to try to wake them up. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'll also help them by flicking their feet. They're very sensitive at their feet, and that would stimulate and should hopefully stimulate an answer. If there's no answer, I'm going to say call 911 and bring an automated external defibrillator. And then I will raise the chin to open the airways. Just by raising the chin, we actually open the airways so the tongue is not going to block for sure. Then I will be listening no more than 10 seconds, but at least 5 seconds to see if now the infant is breathing or not. So 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. It's no answer, no breathing, no sign of anything. I'm going to put one hand on top of the forehead to keep the airways open, and the other hand I will place 2 or 3 fingers in the middle of the chest, on the sternum, on the breastbone, and pretty much in between the nipples. I need to compress at least 1.5 inches. Basically, I'm going to see what's the depth or what's the height of their chest, and I need to compress about 1/3 of their depth. It's going to be deep and fast. I need to compress it at least 100 times per minute, which is obviously more than once every second. The rhythm is going to be something like this. 1, tum, tum, tum. If you have to perform it and you feel the end of the breastbone, just move your fingers a little bit higher. We don't want to compress the end of the breastbone, we need to do it higher. So I will do compressions in sets of 30 compressions, then I'll give 2 breaths, then 30 compressions, then 2 breaths, and 30 compressions, 2 breaths, and so forth. When do I stop? Well, I stop either when the baby comes back to life or when the paramedics are here, or if I'm really too tired and I cannot help. But it's important to remember that when we stop, the baby might be dying, so we need to do the compressions. It's going to be tiring, it's going to be extremely difficult to do it, but we have to do it. So I will need to put 2 or 3 fingers on the middle of the chest, on the bone, and compress deep. It's going to be deep and fast. and then I will give 2 breaths. When I give the breath to an infant, it's important to remember that I will put my lips around their nose and around their mouth. So it's not going to be lips on lips, it's going to be I will cover their nose and their mouth. And when I give the breath, I'll check to see with the corner of my eye that the chest is rising. It's important to remember the chest must be rising in order to show that the air is filling the lungs. So when I need to help an infant, let's pretend I go in a room and I see an unconscious infant. Are you okay? Are you okay? No answer. Call 911 and bring the AED. Raise the chin. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so forth. I will continue to do that until the paramedics arrive, or until I'm too tired, or hopefully until the baby comes back to life. I have here a couple of questions I'll try to answer. I have been recertified in CPR several times, but the rules keep changing. It is really difficult to keep up with the new regulations. Why do I have to learn always new rules? Well, there is an International Liaison Committee on Resuscitation. It's spelled ILCOR, I-L-C-O-R. That committee, international committee, is the one responsible for all the changes in the Cardio-Pulmonary Resuscitation Rules. They have been created, well, ILCOR has been created in 1992, and there's a list of companies and organizations which are part of it, and their purpose is to create the resuscitation guidelines. American Heart Association is part of the ILCOR, so is the European Resuscitation Council, Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada, Australian and New Zealand Committee on Resuscitation, Resuscitation Councils of Southern Africa, Inter-American Heart Foundation, and Resuscitation Council of Asia, of which Japan, Korea, Singapore and Taiwan are also part. Now, they meet twice a year and they take in consideration all the reports on how people have been saved, and once every 5 years they issue a set of guidelines. Whatever seemed to be working, they put it in the new regulation and the new guidelines. The newest set of guidelines was published in 2010 by American Heart Association, and these guidelines are like the Bible. All the companies who offer the training, they must incorporate and these guidelines, they must follow the guidelines in their training in order for their training to be considered valid. The newest guidelines issued by ILCOR say that when a person is unconscious, we need to call 911 right away. And then do compressions, 30 compressions and give 2 breaths, and then 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, and so forth, until the person is either revived or until the paramedics arrive and they take care of everything. The newest guidelines also establish that in order to be considered correct, the compressions must be at least 2 inches deep for an adult, about 2 inches deep for a child, and about 1.5 inches deep for an infant. They take in consideration the depth of the chest of a person, and the compressions need to be at least 1/3 of the depth of the person. So if my chest is about this big, probably the compressions to me would need to be at least 3 inches. So they say at least 2 inches for an adult, about 2 inches for a child, about 1.5 inches for an infant. And the newest regulations, the newest ILCOR guidelines also specify that the speed of the compressions should be at least 100 times per minute. They issue the guidelines in order to update the latest information, to make sure whatever information is available, whatever research is available, is implemented in order to help resuscitate all the victims, or most of them. My friend has the Red Cross CPR Pro certification, and I have the basic life support from the National Safety Council. Which one is better? Well, that is an interesting question and kind of difficult question, because it's not an easy answer. There are 3 major companies in the United States. They're nationally accredited. One of them is American Heart Association, another one is American Red Cross, and another one is the National Safety Council. So let's see. American Heart Association, according to their website, American Heart Association is in business to build healthier lives free of cardiovascular disease and stroke. Therefore, they do the research on the human body and all the procedures that would seem to be working in order to bring a person back to life. Also, besides that, they do teach first aid and CPR, and when they teach that for lay people and for professionals, they implement the newest guidelines, which were issued in 2010, and which say that when performing these compressions, we need to do at least 2 inches for an adult, about 2 inches for a child, about 1.5 inches for an infant, and they must be done at least 100 times per minute. That's American Heart Association. Now, American Red Cross, they are helping all the victims. If there is a hurricane somewhere, American Red Cross is right on the spot to help the victims with the lodging and food and supplies. If a house is burned down, usually they pay for the people who live there to be able to stay in a hotel for a couple of days, and also to have the food and the basic necessities. So they're in charge with the disaster relief help. They also support the military families. Another thing that they do is they're in charge with the life-saving blood. Whenever you see a blood mobile, usually, I believe it's always the American Red Cross. They are in charge with collecting the blood and distributing whenever is needed. And also they teach first aid and CPR for professionals and for lay people. And when they teach the first aid and CPR, they say that if a person is unconscious, we need to call 911 and then do compressions, at least 2 inches for an adult, about 2 inches for a child, about 1.5 inches for an infant, and we need to do it at least 100 times per minute. So that's what the Red Cross also does. Now, the National Safety Council, according to their website, they're in business to save lives by preventing injuries and deaths at work, in homes and communities, and on the roads through leadership, research, education, and advocacy. And they have created and they are teaching at least 100 30 safety courses, some in health training. They're responsible for the OSHA training and implementing the OSHA regulations, the safety regulations in all the companies, in all the larger companies. They're also in charge with the defensive driving. If somebody receives a ticket for driving too fast or driving under the influence and they go to court, and if the judge sends them to a driving school, chances are that that driving school is conducted by the National Safety Council. They also teach the emergency vehicle operator class, and also they teach the first aid and CPR certification for professionals and lay people. And when they teach the first aid and CPR, they say that in emergency we need to call 911 right away, and then when we do the compressions need to be at least 2 inches deep for an adult, about 2 inches deep for a child, and about 1.5 inches deep for an infant, and we need to do the compressions at least 100 times per minute. The National Safety Council is also approved in all the 50 states, including in Massachusetts by the Mass Department of Public Health. I want to get the CPR AED certification, but I have a dilemma. Should I train online? It's less expensive and I can take it whenever I want. Or should I register for a hands-on class training, which is more expensive? Well, I have here a copy of the advisory from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Public Health from the Office of Emergency Medical Services. This advisory is dated May 18, 2004, and it specifies the requirements for the professional personnel who helps in first aid. I will read just a little bit of the advisory. You can find it online. If you go on our website, there is a link there. So it's dated May 18, 2004. The purpose of this advisory is to clarify that while certain courses and programs may be offered online, the requirements for current training in basic life support, cardiopulmonary resuscitation for all levels of professionals are not achievable merely through completion of an online training course. The standards of BLS, CPR, and ACLS, as published in the Standards and Guidelines for Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation and Emergency Cardiac Care, require both didactic and practical skills training and evaluation. Only BLS, CPR, and or ACLS training certificates issued by recognized training institutions that include both didactic and practical skills training and evaluations are considered to be valid under current state EMS and or first responder laws and regulation. BLS, CPR, and ACLS training certificate issued by the American Heart Association, American Red Cross, or National Safety Council satisfy the legal requirements for EMTs and first responders. Therefore, if you are a professional, you need to take the certification with hands-on on the mannequin. The just online certification is not considered valid for professionals. However, if you're a layperson and you want to take the online classes, well, it's up to you and also up to the company who will hire you if they would recognize it or not. I need to take the professional CPR certification. What are the prerequisites? Well, actually there are not any prerequisites for the professional one. Every person can take either the lay people or the professional certification. When you will take the professional, you will learn a couple of things which are specifically required from the professional ones. You will learn how to take the pulse and also how to use not only the face shield but also the bag valve mask in order to be able to help victims. You will also learn how to do breath only if the person has a pulse and so forth. But everything can be trained at the training facilities. So there is not any special pre-qualification in order to take the professional CPR certification. Question number 5. How long is a class training? And is it different for recertification? Well, each class training is depends on what type of class or what type of training you have. Also, most companies would take in consideration if you are taking the class for the first time or if you are getting recertified. Most classes will offer enough training so that you have enough time to practice until you feel comfortable. Most classes, I would say, take between 3 to 6 hours. And of course, if there's more students who need more training, the class is going to be slightly longer. If there's probably fewer students and probably everybody's taking the recertification and therefore they do have experience on how to perform correctly the CPR, then probably the class is going to be slightly shorter. Also, if you take the first aid or if you add to your training the bloodborne and airborne pathogen training, then the class is going to be about 1 or 2 hours, even longer. Question number 6. I heard that you don't need to give breath anymore to an unresponsive person. Is it true? Well, it's actually not true. According to the latest guidelines, the ILCOR realized that a lot of people, when they meet an unconscious person, when they find an unconscious person, they don't feel comfortable to give breaths. They say, I'm not going to put my mouth on their mouth, I don't know them, I do not have any protective device, therefore most of them prefer just to turn around and go. And the victim would be there dying. In order to prevent that and to encourage more people to help resuscitate a person who is unresponsive, ILCOR established the hands-only CPR or bystander CPR. They say that if I'm a person who finds an unconscious person and I don't feel comfortable to give breath, I can still help by calling or having somebody call 911 and then do the compressions. So just by doing correctly the compressions, I can still help the victim to expand their life until the paramedics arrive. Therefore, if I don't feel comfortable to give breath, the least I can do to help is just doing the compressions. But if I can give breath and I'm willing to give breath, it is still recommended to, especially for the children. It is very important to keep giving breath. So the 2010 guidelines specify that when we try to help to resuscitate a person, we should give continuously sets of 30 compressions, then 2 breath, then 30 compressions, then 2 breath, then 30 compressions, 2 breath, 30 compressions, 2 breath, 30 compressions, 2 breath, and so forth, until the person comes back to life or until the paramedics arrive, or there are other situations when I can stop. But if I do stop and the person did not come back to life, they're actually dying. So it's very important to try to help them as much as possible. So we should still continue to give 2 breaths and then 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, and so forth. Question number 7. What is the difference between First Aid Plus CPR AED, adult, child, infant, and Pediatric First Aid Plus CPR AED, adult, child, and infant? Well, when we teach the pediatric part, the first aid in the pediatric training is about children. So you will learn how to help children in different children's situations, at their level, at their problems. The pediatric part is probably more geared towards the people who will open daycare, or people who are taking care of the children, and people who will work mostly with children, babysitters, Sunday school teachers, or teachers of elementary classes, or anybody who works with children. People who take the pediatric class can also take and get certified in CPR for adults, but that's optional. If they want to, they can. If not, it's not required. The pediatric certification will give them the CPR and AED certification for children and infants. But as I said, they can still take the adult one. The other first aid CPR and AED training, the first aid DVD shows situation in adult becoming unconscious, or adult problems, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, which can happen to adults, can also happen to children, but it's geared more toward adults. We will have all the details. We encourage you to check on our website. For any additional information, feel free to contact us or go to http://saveeachlife.com. Thank you.